Chat off. Here we go. Okay. First of all, I did not get your homework graded this weekend. Sorry. I was going to, and then I decided, you know what? No. So I'm going to do it today. And what I'm planning to do, we'll see how well this works. My plan is to take pictures of it with my app that'll turn a picture into a PDF and then email it back to you. So hopefully that will work out and everything will be good there. Everybody's homework was mostly readable. Just be careful, be especially cognizant right now of writing maybe a little darker than you would normally. So I didn't have any issues. Like I had an issue in my cryptography class and I emailed, they darkened it up and it was fine. I can read, I just have to squint a little bit. So just be cognizant of writing a little bit darker than you would normally. But thank you for submitting PDFs. That was hugely helpful. Reminder, so flexible grading scheme. Make sure that you go online. There's a place to submit your revised flexible grading scheme. I set noon today as the deadline to do that, but I don't think the assignment will close. Like I think you can do it even if you're after noon. So please go ahead and revise your flexible grading scheme. Lauren, yeah.
I was just gonna ask, like, what test do you think is the hardest? Like, cause
I don't know, honestly. It depends on, I don't know. The first one is sometimes the hardest because you don't necessarily know what to expect from me, etc. So maybe other than that, I don't know. You just kind of got to make a judgment call and go with that. Sorry, that's all I got.
oh, it's okay.
So,
I was just wondering.
okay. Other questions on resubmitting that flexible grading scheme? And again, if you can't write on the PDF, that's fine. You can write it out by hand, take a picture of it, submit it that way. You don't have to submit the original form, or you can open the PDF and write on it, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Okay. All right. Next up. So today is our last new material from chapter 7. So we're going to do 7.3. And then Wednesday is review. We'll do the same thing we typically do for review. We'll see how well it works in this medium, but we'll try it. So we'll do a whirlwind tour. And then answer whatever questions you might have. And then Friday is the test. And hopefully we'll try it. We're going to try a test live. What I think I'm going to do, and you can tell me if this is a problem, because I want to give you a little bit of extra time for the test, just for downloading and getting it re-uploaded and everything, and because I have a class at 9, I would like to start at 7:45 on Friday so that you have a little bit of extra time, but we're not running into my next class. Is that okay? Does that work? All right, sorry, it's a little earlier. And hopefully it won't take you the whole time, but I'll send out a reminder email, I'll get the test posted, etc., and we will go that way. Okay, homework questions. Are there anything on homework questions? Then we need to talk about the reading assignment because I didn't phrase it super well and caused consternation. Sorry about that. But anything for reading or homework questions? 7.1, 7.2. Anything there? Yeah, Lauren, I need to grab my book. Go ahead.
This actually isn't a homework question. It's
okay.
about the test.
Sure.
So we're doing it on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
But are we printing off the test? Like,
it's up to you, however you want to do it. So if you want to pop it up on your computer screen, that's fine. If you want to print it off, you can. I will post it starting at 7:45, and then you can have until, we'll say, 8:50, 8:55, something like that. So you can have a little bit of extra time. You can decide how you want to do it. To submit it back to me, take a picture of it and send in a PDF, just like you did with your homework. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like when we're on Zoom, are you just gonna like watch us?
Yeah, it's just, again, I don't think I'm really trying very hard to balance. I don't think you're going to do anything. I don't think you're going to cheat with. I would like to avoid putting temptation in your way. So I will be quiet. I will mute my microphone. Everybody can mute their microphones if they want to, if you have background noise going on, etc. I just want a little bit of accountability. That's what I'm going for. So
we don't have to like show it or anything like that.
No, I mean, if you want to show me your space before you start, you can. But again, we're going with, I appreciate that you guys are students at WLC. I appreciate that I can trust you as opposed to having a class with 300 students at a large university. And so we're going to try it and see what happens. So,
okay.
Okay. All right, cool. Other questions either about the test or about homework before we get going? Anything else? Okay. Let's talk then. Let's talk about the reading assignment one that I did not do well, and then we'll talk about existence proofs in general. So here we go. Let me make you bigger so I can actually see all of you. There we go. So the one that I gave you on the reading assignment, I did not phrase as well as I should have. I think I need to change my color back to. So the one on the reading assignment was prove there exists, what did I say? Positive integer n? 1 second. This is easier when I can just walk across the classroom and don't have to leave the screen. Oh, there exists a perfect square. Sorry, there exists a perfect square n. So that n squared minus 5 is also a perfect square. Okay. That maybe works, and Grant may have found one, but you went to huge big numbers and that was not what I was intending. So here's what I was intending. I was intending to say there exists a perfect square, n squared, so that n squared minus 5 is also a perfect square, my bad. And so then your proof here would be choose n equal 3, then n squared is equal to 9, and n squared minus 5 is equal to 4, and both of these are perfect squares. So I apologize, that confused you unnecessarily on the reading assignment, my bad. Good? Okay, yes, questions? Anything for questions at this point? Sorry about that. Okay. Then let's go ahead and look at section 7.3. So section 7.3 has 2 pieces in it, and the title of the section is existence proofs, but there's also uniqueness proofs in here. Existence proofs. I always have to think about whether it's existence with an E right here or an A right here, and chances are I will get it wrong at least once during class because I'm thinking about a ton of stuff with the online besides how to spell these words. So FYI. Remember your existential quantifier. We talked about this a lot at the beginning of the chapter. So your existential quantifier is that backwards E, right? Existential quantifier. And honestly, proving existential statements is easy-ish. There's 2 steps. First of all, you need to find an example. And the second part, and this is the part that's important, is demonstrate that the example works. So the second part is kind of where the work is in the proof, because you have to tell your reader why your example actually works. You can't just throw an example out there and say, this is the example that I'm giving you. You have to actually show your reader that your example is going to work. Let me show you what I mean. So for example, existence proof, here we go. Do the random lines I made there. For example, prove there exists, a prime number P so that P plus 2 and P plus 6 are both also prime. Prove that there exists a prime number P so that P plus 2 and P plus 6 are both also prime. Exists a prime number P so that P plus 2 and P plus 6 are both also prime. So think about this for just a minute, proof, and we can actually achieve this one by holding up fingers. So what is your prime number P? that you are picking so that p plus 2 and p plus 6 are both also prime. The hint is that you can do this with fingers, so it is 10 or less. P plus 2, p plus 6 are both also prime. Give it just a minute. P plus 2, p plus 6, both also prime. Are you ready to hold up fingers? P plus 2, p plus 6. People are nodding at me. Okay, what's my answer? P equals, holding up fingers, P is equal to, what's your value for P? P equals, we've got a bunch of 5s, and, oh, I can think Andrew's commenting in with 5 also. All right, so here's my proof, absolutely. We're going to let P equal 5. There totally might be other values of P. There actually are other values of P. P equals 11 would work as well, right? P plus 2 is 13. And P plus 6 is 17. Those are both also prime. So existence proofs a lot of times have a whole bunch of different answers for them. You just have to find one. That's all you have to do. So that was my first step, find an example. So the next thing I have to do is demonstrate that the example works. So we're gonna let P equal 5, which is prime. And then I need to say, then P plus 2 is equal to 7. And P plus 6 is equal to 11, both of which are also prime. Done. That's an existence proof. So first step, find an example. Second step, show me that the example works. There isn't as much of a highly structured nature to these existence proofs. You kind of just write out and show me that your example works. So I'm not going to be quite so fussed on we have a assume and need to show, and we know that in these type of existence proofs, they just kind of flow. They just kind of happen, and you get your answers and go from there. All good on this one? Give me a thumbs up before we try another example. Good on this one? Everybody good? Okay, let's try another one here. How about this one here? For example, proof there exists an integer x so that x minus 7 over 2x plus 4 is equal to 5. Prove that there exists an integer x so that x minus 7 over 2x plus 4 equals 5. X minus 7 over 2x plus 4 equals 5. This one is going to require a little bit of scratch work. So let's do the scratch work over here. This is not part of your proof. You can turn it in with your homework if you want to, or you can totally leave it off. But this is the work that we're going to do to figure out what example we want. And then your proof doesn't show this. Your proof does not show your reader behind the scenes what you did to come up with your example. Your proof just presents your example right away, and we are good to go. So scratch work, if we come up with an equation, x minus 7 over 2x plus 4 has to equal 5. You guys can solve that. I'll talk through, but this is basic algebra. So x minus 7 equals 10x plus 20. If I subtract both sides, I'm going to get 9x equals negative 27. And so x equals negative 3. You can totally solve the equation. This is like, I don't know, 6th grade math. Probably not even. You do algebra. 6th grade math, 7th grade math, something like that. So that does not show up in your proof. That does not show up in your proof. I am going to leave that off to the side, and now I'm going to start writing my proof now that I've got my example. So my proof starts with let x equals negative 3. And I said that there was supposed to be an integer x, so that's part of demonstrating that my example works. I need to specifically say that my example that I've come up with is in fact an integer. So we're going to let x equals negative 3. I need to point out to my readers that that's an integer. And then we can say x minus 7 over 2x plus 4 is equal to negative 3 minus 7 over 2 times negative 3 plus 4. You can decide how much math you want to do. If you want to continue to write that out and simplify, you can, or you can just write equals 5 and I can follow your work. either way. So you can decide how much algebra you want to show me. -3 minus 7 over 2 times -3 plus 4. And I'm going to go with an as desired because that's what I wanted to get. And mark my proof with a smiley face. So a lot of times the scratch work on an existence proof is more work than the actual proof itself. A lot of times you have to do the scratch work in order to find your example, but that doesn't show up in the proof. So what I have on the left side of my whiteboard over here is, oops, what I would see for the actual proof. If you were writing this up in a textbook or something like that, that is what the actual proof would be. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second because I want to pause the video and go back.